city of Belarus. It's called Minsk or something like that. The government organizes, the Electoral Commission organizes activities, which are sponsored by the creative industry. They organize dances, people come there and dance. They are reminded of their history. They are reminded where they have come from, the challenges they have come from. You know, most of that country economy was decimated during the Second World War. You know, everything was brought down. There was nothing in that country. So they had to rebuild everything. So when you invest in the creative sector, you encourage people to be able to, you know, not to be idle, to be able to come up with activities. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I got a text message from a young girl, a Maasai young girl. She calls herself DJ Queen. And she said, please, Senator, allow me, or can you please help me to be able to perform at the upcoming Madaraka Day celebration. And I know it's going to be held in Homa Bay, so I'm going to be reaching out to the presidential units to be able to ask whether they can allow this young girl to showcase her talent. She makes her living by singing. I know so many young girls who are looking for jobs, they cannot be able to get jobs. But these young girls, when they look for jobs, if they cannot be able to get jobs, they get into the creative sector. I have a young girl called Fabi Lekanaya. She also does the same thing. She goes out there and creates. What is the best way for us to be able to support these young girls? For them to be able to have money. Some of these kids come from very poor economies. Is it over-regulating? Is it by setting up an advisory board or setting up a corporate to be able to manage them? My view is that that would be the wrong way to go. And I'm going to be having a conversation with my good friend, Senator Eddie, that we should not over-regulate. We should not set up a board, most of them who are not even from the creative sector, to be able to govern the creative industry economy. We should allow this creative industry around all the 47 counties to self-regulate. We should allow county governments to play a critical role. You know, I long for the days when we used to have a national choir. You know, when we were growing up and we were in primary school, when President Moi will come and open, when it is Madaraka Day or Jamhuri Day, you know, there used to be like a national choir which will come to our schools. We'll all of us sing a song. We'll go to Madaraka Day. All of us will sing, will participate. I long for the time when county government will create their own, you know, will invest in their own creative industries. When you live abroad, Mr. Speaker, I lived in a small town called Concord in Massachusetts. And every Christmas holiday, you'll find all the fine artists coming to perform. The little town of Concord will sponsor, the businesses will sponsor these young people to be able to come there and do their performance. This is where we want to go. Towns have bands. You know, those bands, these people are paid to be able to be in that band. If we now over-regulate and we now say, let us set up a board that sits in Nairobi to regulate the creative industry, we are killing that creative industry. I think what we should do, because we're a country that is struggling to be able to create jobs and to look for jobs for these people, let's allow them to use the internet for free. Let us not tax the internet whatsoever. Let allow them to build their content. You know, they can use TikTok, they can use Facebook, they can use Twitter, Instagram. Let them do it. You know, I come from a school of thought that believes that we should never tax something which is free. The internet connects us. And every time I tell my staff is that your network is your net worth. So this creative industry should be looking at the networks that they have outside there. Which is the network that they have out there? They have people who will sit down here, go through Facebook, look at it. Let us find a way that these companies, which are companies that are formed in foreign countries, can be able to support children here, pay for their school fees. You know, I have about almost 2 million followers on Twitter, you know, and from time to time, I get a small, amount of money from X sending to me. You know, it's a small, but it's taxed. I wish it was not taxed, because then I could probably donate to someone else to be able to support them. So the most important thing that we need to think about this bill, and I want to have a sit down with Senator Eddy, so that during the committee of the whole, we can actually be able to try and see how do we develop a piece of legislation that will not make it difficult for people, for content creators to make money. It will make it easier for them to be able to benefit. I wish we could have one thing in this country which is free. You know, you cannot create jobs for everybody. Allow them to go make money. Let them use their knowledge and make money. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I don't fully support, although I partially support it. Let me correct myself, because Senator Eddy is one of the most intelligent young senators you'll find here. Establishment of this creative industry guild. Why should that guild be advising the cabinet secretary? What is the role of a cabinet secretary in my creativity? There's absolutely no role. This guild should be looking at where to engage the private sector, for the private sector to invest in these young creators, content creators, to invest in this sector, so that every advertisement which is done out there, if it is for me advertising the milk that I produce, I look for a young Maasai content creator, or I look for a young Giriama